So in the first expression of Virgo, conviction, we determined what we thought, who we are, what's true, and so on, and we've approached that with conviction. And in this second expression of Virgo, adaptation, we contrast that. So we see in life two very definite attitudes of being: conviction, a fixity of direction, a certainty of purpose, and so on. And on the other hand, adaptation, the mutable quality of Virgo. Maybe we can change our ways a bit. And it's not as though one is right and the other is wrong. It's just that sometimes one is appropriate and the other is appropriate at different times. Certain things that we've got going on in life, it takes conviction to hold to, such as our religious belief maybe, or our willingness not to do harm, and certain things define us at the root level. But other things don't. We have preferences and we just vary our response to situations and adapt. So we're looking at the 5 stages that we go through in order to develop this ability that we might choose to express of adaptation. The first of this batch, the 6th degree of Virgo, is the merry-go-round. And this is a toy, a child's toy, and or plaything, and it's all to do with the going up and down and having an emotional experience. It's a really good metaphor for a certain way of being in life. A lot of people love this excitement and disappointment and all the fun at the fair, the razzmatazz, and they have a life, a lifestyle, a path of life, which is like that. You go up and down all of the time, and all your emotions are felt, and you celebrate the emotionality of being. And that requires dealing with, we have to come to terms with what happens when excitement leads us up and down through our emotional nature. And so to develop the ability to do that is one of life's important lessons. Now in Virgo 7, we have the kind of contrasting principle of the harem. The women in the harem number many, and they don't get chosen every night, of course, that the Sultan chooses his woman according to his own desire, and a woman might sort of live in the harem indefinitely without ever get chosen, without ever having anything happen. And so there's this ability that they must develop of being able to exist in that condition of nothing much happening, waiting. So this aspect of life that all of us experience, where we're waiting for something, life just isn't giving us what we want right now. There's nothing, no excitement, no furtherment. It's just waiting. And a lot of people can't cope with that. It's a tremendous power if you do manage to learn how to just do nothing for a while, a good long while, and notice what happens. If you can't do that, then you won't be able to do a retreat. A spiritual retreat is based on this principle that we just do very, very little of excitement for a very long time. And notice what happens to the emotional body by practicing that. And it becomes much more still. The appetite for excitement is fed by excitement. And if you want to move away from the ups and downs of life, not so much because you don't like the ups, but because you don't like the downs, then to learn the ability to cope with waiting, as they must do in a harem, is what you need to do. So the first 2 of these sort of expressions, the degrees within this expression, teach us how to develop emotional poise. The poise that comes from having lots to do and coping with busyness, and the poise to do with having nothing to do and coping with potential boredom, solitude, loneliness, all those kind of feelings. Then, when we've actually got on top of our emotional nature, we're ready for guidance. In Virgo 8, the first dance instructor, we need guidance. We cannot progress very far on a spiritual path unless somebody who's done this journey before us just points out what's going on for us, helps us understand what we're going through, gives us guidance about what step to take next. And somebody who's walked the path before us can save us a huge amount of work and time, confusion and wrong-mindedness. The ego doesn't want us to progress spiritually. Not really. It's the soul's journey. So the ego actually does what it can to make sure we don't unfold spiritually, and plants in our mind wrong belief, overblown sense of self. I'm more important than my guides, or the opposite, understatement of self. Oh, who am I to know anything? How could I ever become anything worth having? You know, they're both forms of egotism. The underdeveloped ego and the overdeveloped ego are both wrong. We need a strong ego, but we need it to be in relationship to the soul. So the dance instructor helps us with that one. Dance is a good image because we express ourselves emotionally in dance, yet within a contained way. Even if it's free dancing, we're responding to the music. So there is this containment on our emotional expression. And when we learn to dance, then we've got very close to the mystery of life. So a dance instructor is rather more than somebody that teaches you the techniques, the steps. Somebody who teaches the philosophy of life. You know, that's what we're looking at here. And a good teacher in any field will teach us to go beyond the teacher itself, the teacher himself. If we've actually learned our lessons fully, then we know how to do it by ourselves. Otherwise, it's not taught to us. We don't know it. And so here we have in Virgo 9 a man making futuristic drawings, somebody who's doing it by himself. Futuristic. It's not been done before. This is really original creativity. And within our lives, we can just notice what parts of our lives we're doing like everyone else, as we were taught by parents and school teachers, as we're copying our peer group and so on, as everyone else does, where we don't distinguish ourselves at all. Most people live like that thoroughly, because as soon as you put your head up and you say, no, I don't want to do it that way, I want to do it my way, then you start getting attacked, actually. You'll find life much more uncomfortable. But unless you do that, it's not your life. It's borrowed, copied, it's inauthentic, really. To find an authentic life, you have to be original. You have to make it up for yourselves, including the big one. What is the meaning of life? Well, the meaning of life is to decide the meaning of life. And that's an original thing. If you haven't done it in a new way, if you haven't changed what was said before, then what have you done? You've just repackaged old wisdom. It's not a big deal. It's quite an achievement to receive old wisdom, yeah, okay. But to repackage it and say the same thing, no. Come up with something new, something that only you could understand, and only you could present, only you could teach. That's what's indicated in Virgo 9. And it's true for us all. It's not just people with birthdays in Virgo 9 we're talking about. It's true for us all. We have to do it our way. Now in Virgo 10 we have two heads looking out beyond the shadows. This represents a kind of ability to see both points of view, to see things differently from 2 points of view now, not just our own original creative work, but the other side of things. Reflexive self-consciousness. It's one thing, and it's a great thing, to see it my way, but it's a tremendous achievement simultaneously to see the implications of that, how other people will be impacted upon by doing it our way. And that expands our consciousness. When we have the consciousness to see two things at the same time from opposite points of view each, then we've reached the highest spiritual state that there is, really. So, to get to that state, we've seen this journey of adaptation, where we deal with the ups and downs in life on the merry-go-round, and we deal with the boredom of life in the harem. And we find ourselves able to do it our way by being aware of someone else's position when we have received instruction. Pretty much only when we've received instruction can we get to that level of doing it our way. And this gives us the facility of adaptation. And it's an extraordinary power, the ability to adapt. All of us have to adapt to the environment. It is the nature of life that everything changes constantly. And so unless we have the ability to adapt, we can't survive it. We certainly can't prosper. So, adaptation.